Welcome to episode number 13 of The Car Flip Show. Thanks so much for watching today. We're going to be looking at a few different things in today's show. One, a question I get asked a lot is what to do with small paint imperfections. We're going to look at how I touch up vehicles that I'm dealing with. We're going to look at the 5 to 10 foot rule, my rule of thumb for how big is too big to repair, what should be repaired where, basically how to touch up vehicles using touch-up paint. Next, we're going to look at an actual vehicle that I'm currently flipping. This is a 2006 Chevy Equinox. You're going to notice over and over again, I'm going to call it a 2005. We actually recorded this video during the launch week of the recent launch of the Car Flip course. It's not currently active, so you can't join right now. We've closed the course. It'll be open in a couple months. But if you want to get more information, it's thecarflipcourse.com. But I keep calling it a 2005 Equinox. It's an 06. We're going to look at my potential profit, what I've actually had to do to it. We're going to kind of go from beginning to end and what I can expect to make on that. We're also going to finish up with a few questions at the end. These actually came in during launch week of the course, but they're very applicable still. So have fun watching the Car Flip Show episode number 13. A question I get asked a lot is what to do with imperfections as far as paint goes on a vehicle. When you have a nick or a chip, for example, looking at something like this right here, if you have this type of chipping on a bumper, is it worth having the bumper painted? Should you take it somewhere to have a professional do it? Especially if you come around the side. This is a pickup truck and something has hit this at some point. If you see the red and then the gray, this is the actual bumper material. This has been painted from a reddish burgundy to this black that you currently see. What do you do with this? Do you take this somewhere and have this fixed? This is probably if I'm guessing, a $200 to $300 fix, depending on where you go. With my guy, I can maybe have it done for $150. Depends on the connections you have in the paint world. For me, I'm not going to worry about having this done professionally. I'm going to use touch-up paint to take care of it, which I can have done for about 10 bucks. Now for me, it's actually going to be free because I already have paint laying around. As you accumulate different colors of touch-up paint, you will have more resources to go grab from your closet. For me, I have a lot of colors I still have to buy, but first things first, where do you get the paint? What kind of paint should you use? If you go to an Advanced Auto Parts or a Walmart, AutoZone, you're gonna see paints like this. This is a Duplicolor. Now this is not the color that we're gonna be using. This is a Honda polished metal. So on a paint like this, you get to unscrew the top. So you have your paint on the inside here with a little brush that's included. We'll put a link to a universal black, because we're using a black. We'll put a link to a universal black in the description here. You also have clear coat that comes with this one. The clear coat is not really necessary after you paint it, but it is good for little imperfections, like if you had a scratch that didn't go through the paint. This clear actually could cover that up to a point. So this is one product that you can use. Another is going and having the factory color mixed for you. I do a lot of this, more of this than I do this, because it's actually cheaper and you get more paint. This one you get 0.25 fluid ounces, so next to nothing. Plenty to touch up a vehicle, multiple vehicles. This you get 4 ounces, and this is mixed at a shop up the road. All they do is automotive paint, so they mix this. It usually runs anywhere from $10, $12, $15 max. They're gonna give you 4 ounces, and I usually use I'm trying to remember the name of this paint. This is a PPG product, but it's 4 ounces. It's all that I could need. You pop the top on it, and you're gonna need an applicator for this, which is where something like this comes in. This is called a micro applicator. We'll show it in the video there. They come in a container such as this, and I think this one has 100. You can get these on Amazon, eBay. A lot of the paint stores are going to have these. They're going to be very expensive in the paint store compared to what you can buy them for, say, on Amazon. These are purchased on Amazon. We'll put a link if you'd like to take a look at those. Very handy. Even using the paint that I'm going to be using, this is handy because they're very precise. You can get into small places without having a large brush, kind of give you the imperfections. So what I'm actually going to be using is some paint that I had left over from a previous vehicle. I had some paint work done on a Jeep Wrangler, and we had the entire Wrangler painted, and he used a paint color. It's paint code UA, actually a Ford paint color. The name of it is pitch black. Black on a vehicle is one that is very universal. Unless you have a metal flake or some kind of variation in the black, black is black. It's hard to kind of mess up on black as opposed to a white, or especially silver. Silvers are not transferable a lot of times from a Ford to a Chrysler to a Chevy because they don't match up very well. But black, this is pretty universal. and I'll show you what this looks like. He gave me this paint when he was done. He had some leftover. I bought a box of 100 of these, so every time he does paint work for me, if he has leftover paint, he's nice enough to pour it in a bottle. I mark it and I put it on the shelf. So there's a brush applicator that is on the edge of this. There's actually a marble in the bottom. You shake it up, it mixes the paint, and then you're good to go. So we'll show you an example of me painting this spot here. Generally, I'm gonna go top left down to right, and the reason being is as I'm painting, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to be coming down like this. If you're painting large areas like we're going to be doing on this side over here with the imperfections that we have, it's easy to drag your arm through it, so I try to go top left down to right, so I'm going to get it without having to get my arm black. So just to give you an idea, one thing you want to pay attention to when you're painting is if you stick this in, there's going to be lots of drips. You don't want that if you're doing a small area such as this, because you're going to get runs. Generally, I'm going to keep a paper towel with me, preferably a wet one. I'm not going to here because I've only got two hands and we're being videoed, but it's nice to have something to wipe it up. If you mess up, it's really easy to wipe off. You start over, we go again. So what we're going to be doing on this one, we're going to pay close attention to stay in the lines. If you go back to first grade when you're coloring, same thing applies here. So I'm going to go around the edges first, and again, I generally keep that left to right. Your technique could be different. Now, if you have an area like this, you could use that drop that's forming on the end to spread it and use it to fill in. Our goal here is not to be perfect, it's to make it not catch the eye. Now this now is up eye level, we're up on the lift, so it's easy to see. We're actually doing some other work right now, so it was already up here, so it was a great time to video. But this is going to be something that's going to be down, 2 feet off the ground. Most people aren't going to look down here. Perfect area to be touching up so it won't catch their eye. You want to fill in around the edges. I try not to go over the edges. My goal is to ride the lip of the chip. When you go over the edge, it can catch the eye more. It's not the end of the world if you do. Just for example, what you can do with a little spot such as that, you're just going to want to dab it right on top of the spot, and that is what we would be doing to touch up. Now obviously we have way more that we're going to be doing. If you notice there's a spot here, if you have a little chip that's hanging off, like a little piece of paint, you don't want to paint over that spot there. We'd want to chip this paint off so we're touching up on a level surface. We're going to be going over all of this here. There's a couple spots on the other side we won't look at. Our main focus is going to be coming around. We've got a spot here. There's a spot here that actually has a little imperfection, but once we touch it up, it's not going to be as noticeable. Coming around the side, there actually was a hole right here. You could fill this with some body filler, some Bondo. I had some JB Weld laying around, so I just took the JB Weld, put it up there, filled the hole. It's not going to be noticeable. This is a much larger spot than you would generally touch up. If this was on a door or a hood or a tailgate, this is going to be difficult to touch up because people are going to notice it very easily. Luckily for us, it's on the small part of this bumper, or the lower part of this bumper. Folks aren't going to be looking for it. It should be something we can cover up to where it's going to fit within our 5 to 10 foot viewing area. When someone's walking around the car, they're going around at 5 to 10 feet. Maybe they're going to get up close in some areas up top. On the lower bumper, they're really just not going to be paying attention down here, so we can get by with something this large. So this is the before. You see what it looks like now. We're going to come back in a minute after I finish this, and we'll take a look at the finished product to see if it passes that 5 to 10 foot rule from a noticeability standpoint. So we'll come back and take a look at it. So I've completed the touch-ups on the front of this vehicle. We're not looking for perfection, but we're going to see if it passes the 5 to 10 foot test. So we're going to pan out with our camera right now, come around and look at the front of this thing. If you remember the before, we had imperfection here, 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 on down the front. If you were looking at this car, if someone's looking at it to purchase it, this vehicle is going to be set down, so we're eye level. It's definitely not perfect, but it definitely would pass that 5 to 10 foot eye test. So now we're going to bring the camera in. I'm going to show you the imperfections. The problem with a big area like this is that you will get the runs if you're not careful. There's a trade-off. If we didn't have the runs, we would have brush strokes. So applying it thickly allows it to actually kind of conform and set. So you see up here, you don't see brush strokes, but down here we did get a few runs. So we can live with that because no one's going to be sticking their head down this far to look at it. We have a spot here that we did, which turned out really well. Coming around the front, we'll pan in and we had a spot here, a spot here, a spot here. When we have bends in the plastic, we're not going to be able to fix that with touch-up paint, but we can cover it to a point where it's not as visible. So again, painting on the front, we had a spot here, there was a spot down here, another one here. We actually filled this one on a live car flip, a live video on the car flip Facebook group. So if you're not a member there, go to thecarflip.com, put your email address in. Love to see you there live. I had a spot over here, maybe. Actually, on the car flip show, we did a little spot here with some. I'll actually show you while we're here live. This is a product we mentioned earlier. We're really close right now, but it'll help me show what this is. We mentioned the clear. The benefit of this is if you have an imperfection, we did half of this on the car flip live, from the car flip group live. This clear helps you go over imperfections to help cover them if they don't need touch-up paint. But let's say, for example, coming over here, we have these little scrapes here. Those are just scrapes in the clear. You can go over them with this clear, and you don't have to be as perfect because this will dry clear, but you can cover up imperfections. And when that dries, there'll be a clear layer over it, which will accent the black, not the scratches. So that's the benefit of having this with the clear. They sell other products. I think Turtle Wax has one that is just the clear and a pen. The benefit of these is they come with it for free, and it doesn't have to be color specific because it's all the same. It's clear. So that is, in a nutshell, how to touch up a vehicle. That's how to go over small areas, how to go over big areas. Again, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for something to direct the eye to other parts of the vehicle. The smallest imperfection will draw someone's eye if it's the same color, and we did a decent job of not going over the edges and making that spot bigger. It just helps divert the eye to the positive aspects of the car. So that's touching up a vehicle in a nutshell. I'll see you in the rest of the video. So this is a 2005 Chevrolet Equinox. These are pretty decent sellers. They're pretty decent on gas. They have a decent amount of space. This is one that I paid $2,200 for, so that was my cash investment. Overall, it's fairly clean on the outside. The tires are in good shape. Tread-wise, that's actually going to be one of my repairs in the front. They're a little uneven in the front, a little uneven wear, so we're going to end up replacing those. Got a little vibration, so I'll go ahead and throw up. One number is going to be $60 for 2 front tires. Usually between $25 and $30 you can buy a pretty decent used tire, so we're going to have 2 of those for the front. Used tires are pretty common when it comes to flipping. I generally don't do new unless they're really cheap. You can check Amazon for a pretty good price on used tires. Most used tire places or smaller tire shops will charge you $10-15 to install the tires. So sometimes it's cost conscious to do that. But body wise, we're in pretty good shape. We got a little bit of clear coat peeling right here, goes all the way down and then kind of stops for a minute, has a little spot, a couple little spots up here. This is actually something we should be able to remedy in-house. We're gonna take some wet sandpaper, probably 1500 grit, and we'll sand all up through here. We'll sand this down to where we create as little of a, I guess, a gap from the non-clear to the clear. We'll try to get rid of much of that as we can. We'll tape off from here down, our side, our top, and we'll come down, tape off the windshield, tape off in here. We'll spray it with some clear coat. We're gonna buy that clear coat at Advanced Auto Parts. Actually, I've already got some inside. When you do different jobs like this, you kind of accumulate different supplies, so they don't cost you up front anymore. But if I were to buy this can, this is $6 for me at Advanced Auto Parts, AutoZone, Walmart, different places. Amazon would have that as well. So we've got $6 there. Our front tires, we will be replacing. They're not as good tread as the back anyway, but they're just, if you see them turning, we had it on the lift, and as the tire is turning, you get a uneven, you just see it moving a little bit. So we have on the interior, now it's gonna look pretty clean actually. You're gonna see a mat down here. That's because we're trying to keep our carpet clean as we're in and out. But let's look at the back actually. This carpet was incredibly dirty. Now my kids have ridden in this, so it looks like I have gum here now, which I have to re-clean, which is gonna be wonderful. But this carpet was all different shades of gray, brown, stains, all kinds of stuff everywhere. This seat was fairly stained. I mean, there was big spots. Some of these Chevy seats, some Chrysler seats with this microfiber type material is really bad for getting water stains. So we got all of that out. Our carpet we actually dyed with it comes in what's like a spray can. It costs $6 a can as well. It's a Duplicolor product. This was in like a light gray, I believe was the color at Advanced Auto Parts. You can buy different brands of that. SEM has a really good product. It's twice as much, but the colors are more factory direct, so you can kind of match some colors better than you can. This one matched up pretty well for us. So we have $24 invested in the spray dye. Front tire is going to be $60. Another thing that we replaced, a lot of your Chevys, you'll see the Silverados, the Trailblazers, Equinoxes. This center console lid right here was broken. It was shredded to pieces. People put their elbows on them and they break. Actually, we'll put a picture up right now. You can see what this looks like before we cleaned it. We got this from a pull apart. So if you see how nasty that was, that cleaned up to what it currently is right now with a magic eraser. Guys, if you're flipping, go to your wife's under the sink. Go under the sink, grab her magic erasers. They're going to do amazing things for you. You know, women, you know right where they are. Magic erasers are amazing. So you can do wonderful things in cars. Your door panels, dashes. They do really well in leather. Be careful in leather because they can wear a little more. A lot of your leather is just painted, so you can actually wear through that top layer of paint or dye. So be careful, but did amazing on this, as you can see from the picture that we showed. Otherwise, that brings our total investment as far as out of our pocket expenses to $141. Obviously I have some time invested in that, you know, taking care of all of this, but if you're doing this at home, you know, your time, maybe on a weekend, you can, you know, allot that accordingly. So $2,200 plus $141 brings our total investment to $2,341. If you in your area pull up a 2005 Chevrolet Equinox with 131,000 miles, I believe is what this is, you're gonna see them ranging anywhere from probably $4,900 to $5,900. In my area, I have some priced around $55. A few dealers have them priced around $59. I'm probably, for a quick sale, gonna price this at $49.50. Probably someone will come in and offer $4,500, and that's gonna be over $2,000 profit, you know, on this car. My average is $2,000. So if someone comes in, pays full price, obviously have a lot better day, there's $500 more in my pocket, but I would price this to where someone could talk me down a little, and I'm still doing well and making my $2,000. So if you could find this car in your area for the same price that I paid for it, and keep your investment to, you know, under $200, my investment was $141 out of my pocket, there's an easy $2,000 profit for you right where you are. We'll get inside, we're gonna answer a few questions, and then we're gonna wrap the show up. Now we're going to answer a few questions that were actually sent to me via email. If you ever have a question that I can answer, you can send that to justin@thecarflip.com. We get a lot of email, so if I don't respond right away, just give it time. I'm actually a little more overdue on these than normal. These emails were sent on January 8th. Today is January the 10th, so I'm a little overdue, more than I normally am. But we just changed our email, so it went from a Gmail account to an actual @thecarflip. So justin@thecarflip.com is where you can reach me there. But this one is from Darius, and this is actually a response to when you join our email list. If you want updates, to see information about what's going on at The Car Flip, you can subscribe at thecarflip.com. There's a little box at the top of the page, one that slides up from the bottom. Put your email address in there, you'll be on this list. It'll also send you an invitation to our private Facebook group that's separate from the actual course group. This is the one where there's almost 3,000 people in there, so you can talk to other people flipping cars, learn from other people, and post your findings, and you just gather information from other people. But this was an answer when you get that email from me, the thank you email. Basically at the end asks, what is something that you find difficult, or what's something you think you would struggle with in flipping cars? And what he said, he says, hey, my name's Darius, he's from Dallas, Texas. The only thing that maybe slightly lowers my confidence with flipping is simply not knowing the best place to search for a potential flip, and not knowing the fastest way to go about advertising the car to get it sold. So two facets there. One is he doesn't know where he would find cars, and secondly, he wouldn't know how to advertise to actually sell it. These are two really important things when it comes to flipping. If you can't find cars, and then you can't sell the cars that you do find, you're gonna have a tough time. For me, finding cars is generally something I'm gonna be scanning Craigslist. I'm gonna be looking at the Facebook Marketplace. The Let Go app, the OfferUp app are definitely viable options, but for me, Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace are go-tos right now. Now, me having a dealer's license, you know, I started out buying and selling on the side. I've taken it all the way up to having my own dealership now. So I have a dealer's license, which does allow me to actually go to private dealer auctions that the general public cannot get into. But if I'm looking in the private sector, which honestly most of the time I can find a better deal if I have the time to invest in spending, you know, a day finding a car, I can find a better deal on Craigslist or the Facebook Marketplace than I can at a dealer auction. It's just a time thing for me. I'm selling, you know, 20 cars at a time versus finding 1, 2, or 3 cars to have at my house. If you have that time, you can find a better deal. But Craigslist is a great place to start. You'd want to narrow your search. You don't want to look at every single car on the internet. You want to narrow it down to, my price range is $3,000. So you don't just want to look at $3,000 cars and below. You want to put your search for around $5,000. You only want to look at cars by individuals. So you put by owner only. You'd filter out all the dealer cars. So then you have every car. If you're looking on Craigslist, you should be in the Craigslist that is actually for your area. For me, being in Raleigh, North Carolina, I'm in the Raleigh, North Carolina Craigslist page. Sometimes I'll venture out to, maybe distances around an hour away. So Fayetteville, North Carolina, it's a big military base down there. That's a decent place to find deals sometimes because people are moving in and out. So I'll venture out that way, and I can go all the way around, hour out from me and look at their Craigslist as well. But you can search that. If you get in there, there's a place where you can search. You can put the price, 5,000 below. You can put by owner only, and you're looking in your area. That makes it a lot easier to find deals. If you wanted to take it a step further, you could look for specific cars. For example, I like to do Jeep Wranglers. So you can look for Jeep Wranglers. My search is under $10,000 by owner in my area. And so when I see a Jeep Wrangler pop up, I've been looking at them so often that I've learned the market. And that's what it's all about, is learning the market. You need to learn the market in your price range or for the particular car that you're looking for. And that's going to help you get a lot further down the road. Don't look at every single car by owner, by dealer, $30,000 cars, next to $5,000 cars, next to $300 cars, next to the Maserati at the dealership up the road. It's going to be really hard for you to get a grasp on what things are actually worth. Now, when it comes to selling, a lot of people don't understand that you're going to actually buy the car and sell the car a lot of times on the same platform. Sometimes people will be selling a car and they don't know what it's worth. They don't understand the value. They bought a car brand new and they've driven it for 20 years and they post it on Craigslist and they just want to get $1,000 because they're done with the car. You buy the car for $1,000. It's really worth $35,000. You have to put $500 into it. You make $2,000. That's how flipping happens. So a lot of times you're going to buy and sell in the exact same place. All the time I buy it on Craigslist, fix it, clean it, put it back on Craigslist. People don't, you would think people would say, oh, I saw that car and it was $2,000 less. People don't remember the cars that they saw. The pictures that person would have taken would have been in their driveway or maybe at their office parking lot. There's so many cars that people see, they're not going to recognize the exact same car sitting in your driveway or wherever you take the pictures. People aren't going to recognize it. People see so many cars that they have no idea what cars they've looked at. I have people call me all the time. They say, hey, I'm calling about your 2005 Chevy Equinox. And they would say, wait, what color is it again? They have no idea what cars they're looking at. So they're not going to remember the car that they saw 2 weeks ago that you bought and then are offering it for more money. So you're going to buy and sell often in the exact same place. That's Facebook Marketplace, that's Craigslist, those are my go-tos. If you can find a nice heavily traveled area like a Walmart that you can park it at during the day, or you have a friend that has a business on a heavily traveled road, or maybe they have a house on a highway and their property adjoins, you could park it out there and pay them $100 when it sells. I've done that in the past. There are multiple ways to market it, but the free ones are the ways, the ones that I like to focus on. So Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Car Guru actually isn't a bad one, that one's free. Let Go, OfferUp are all pretty good places to market the car, but you're gonna buy it and sell it usually in the same place. So I hope that helps. Our next question is from Eric, and I'm just gonna read you a portion of it. He said, I really enjoy your videos. Thank you, Eric. My question is, how much capital do you invest in a vehicle once you purchased it? And he goes on to tell a story about a Mazda 3 that he purchased, and he had problem after problem. I think he ended up having to replace the engine with a junkyard engine because the head gasket blew. And then he finished up his question by saying he got so upset because all this was creeping into his profit margin. His question was, when do you cut the cord and say enough is enough and let the car go? So basically, how much money are you willing to invest in a car before you sell it? So I'm just going to give you an example for me. I bought a 2008 Saturn Outlook XR. This is the nice one, double sunroof, DVD, navigation, backup camera, all of that. Really nice car, and I'm trying to remember the numbers. Off the top of my head, I think I paid $5,500. I'm within $500 on that, but I paid $5,500. I expected to be able to sell it for around $8,000. I had it for a while. I actually let my wife drive it. Had a pesky P0420 and P0430 code. After a while, I ended up replacing both the catalytic converters. Got rid of the P0430, the P420 came back. It's driving me crazy. And then I just keep driving it, hoping something's gonna reset. Eventually I drove it home one day, heard a pop, car stops, pull off the side of the road, have it towed back to my lot. Our timing chain snapped, had to replace the timing chain. After I replaced the timing chain, put it back out for sale. I did eventually sell it for $7,500. The numbers are a little foggy now, but I know that I roughly broke even. So for me, I invested all that money and then eventually sold it for $7,500. I had $55 plus the 2 catalytic converters, which were not cheap. Those are roughly $200 a piece. And then we had the timing chain kit plus the timing chain job. Roughly, I broke even, which is a headache. That's going to happen from time to time. The Mazda that you mentioned, I don't do a lot of Mazdas just because they can be a bit of a headache. But you know, not to say that if the right one came along, I wouldn't do it. But if you kind of envision your car as a bank or as an investment, I don't know if you're familiar with Bitcoin or that type of thing right now. When you put your money in something that is, you know, or can be volatile, you know, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, the stock market would all be, you know, things that could have volatility to them. The great thing about a car is it can never be worth zero. Now, that being said, it couldn't be worth a lot less than you paid for it. But if I buy a stock for Best Buy, what if Best Buy goes bankrupt? You know, Circuit City several years ago went bankrupt. Their, you know, stock would be worth zero today because the company is worth zero. If you invest in Best Buy, you know, tomorrow insider trading is announced, their stock market, you know, their stock prices plummet, everybody sells off, you could be worth, you know, you could be left holding worthless paper, which would be the Best Buy stock. Not expecting that to happen to Best Buy, but a car, if you purchase a car, let's say for $1,500 and you have an engine to blow, that car is still worth $1,500 if you replace the engine. Hopefully it's worth more because you bought with a profit margin, you're gonna sell it for around $3. But let's say that $1,500 car is still worth $3 if you replace the engine or the transmission, whatever major problem you're having. Sometimes it's worth doing so. So if you have enough margin to recoup your cost, I would definitely do that. Now there are some cars like that Saturn Outlook. If I had put the money into the transmission and was able to sell it, that's great. Now if my transmission and say the engine have gone at the same time, and the engine for that car is around $2,000, I'm probably not gonna put an engine and a transmission. I'm not going to spend $1,500 having the, you know, the timing chain, all that work done for the engine, and have a transmission which costs, I think on this one, around $1,400 plus $500 labor. I'm not going to invest $4,000 to then sell it for $7,500. When I could probably take it somewhere and get something for it. I mean, I could probably run it through an auction somewhere and get $2,000 for it because it's going to go through and it's going to be able to drive enough to get through the auction. So there definitely is a point where you have to cut the cord. At some point, if you can just break even, you've got your money, you're going to get your money back. You can put that money back into another flip. It's kind of like going to the bank and just withdrawing your money and saying, okay, we're going to put this on the next one. Even if you lose $500, if you can make up that $500 in your next flip, so you lose $500, but you've got that money back, and now you can buy a flip that's going to be positive equity, so you can make $1,500 on the next flip. So you come out $1,000 ahead instead of $500 below. There definitely is a point where you have to. The moral of the story is be careful when you buy. The buy is the most important part of flipping. Know certain issues for certain cars. You need to know the things to look for. You need to know potential problems with each individual make and model. That can be a quick Google before you go to look at a car. If I go to look at a GMC Acadia, a Saturn Outlook, a Chevy Traverse, a Buick Enclave, those are all the exact same vehicle. The Saturn Outlook they're all the same. It's the same vehicle made by GM. I know to look and listen for timing chain noise. I know to make sure the transmission shifts properly. I know certain things to look for on each individual vehicle because I've experienced problems, and I've, you know, just know that I don't want to deal with those issues again. You on the Mazda, that doesn't mean you should never buy another Mazda again, but it does mean that you should be careful in diagnosing potential problems that could come about. So long story short, there are times when you need to lose money to get your money back, to reinvest, to get back to even, or maybe come in a little bit ahead. But if I can get my money back, I'm usually going to invest the money to fix the issue, to then break even, hopefully come out a little bit positive. So I hope that helps with your question on that one, Eric. Thanks so much for watching episode number 13. If you'd like to see more videos like this, things about how to flip cars, things on how to recondition cars to make more money, definitely feel free to subscribe to this channel. I would love to have you along for the ride. Next time we post new content, you'll be the first to know.